Hello to the world and to the kingdom citizens. I greet you in the precious holy name of Yeshua Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, who said in his word, John 8:32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Hi, I'm Dr. John Curry, Ambassador, Pan-African, and welcome to the Kingdom of Heaven on Earth. If you want to follow this podcast, please subscribe to JC Global Embassy TV1. Ring the bell and hit the thumbs up button. As we continue in this series of the African Glory Story series for Black parents and students of all ages, we want you to come and get what society don't want you to learn, and we trust that this education, this information will be beneficial to you as well as parents, to your children and your children's children. And we're going to go in on this African glory story. We're going to be dealing with now the fifth of this African glory story, and that is King Hannibal. King Hannibal. We're going to look at some of the things that King Hannibal has done, and we're going to give you a brief note on who he was, what he's done, and how he's played a great role in world civilization. And by the way, all of the ones that we're talking to you about are all Black men and women. And I just want you to be to know that, and to know that this is really about educating our people, Black people. And for those that really want to come in and learn more, since they're so afraid of Black African history, and they're so afraid of what have taken place, I'm not giving to you slave history. I'm not going to regurgitate to you slave history, because most of us have been living through that history. We get that history every year, but I want to give you something different, and that is the African glory story. And there's so much, there are tons of information about the glory story of Africa, what we have done and what we're still doing, that the white Europeans do not want to talk about. Because when they talk about our history, they diminish their own, and they know it. That's why it's important for us to talk about it. So this African glory story is for Black parents and students of all ages. And let's go in right now on King Hannibal. King Hannibal. One of the things that I want you to understand in this series is that I want you to get this information, but I want you to also go and do your own research. This is kind of like snippets to get you hungry enough where you can go do your own research. And when you do your own research, then you can own what you say, like I'm owning what I'm telling you right now. I can only own it because I've already done my work. So we're going to talk about King Hannibal. King Hannibal in 247 BC. BC means he came before Christ. He was doing this before Christ. He had over 80,000 infantry and 12,000 cavalry. He had 40 African war elephants. Let me say that again. He had 80,000 infantry. Infantry are soldiers who fight on foot. That's what an infantry is. Then he had 12,000 cavalry. And cavalry is those soldiers who fight on horseback. And he had all of these things, 12,000 cavalry, and he had over 40 war elephants. These elephants was trained to fight. He did so much great work, and we're going to get into it so you'll know that King Hannibal was a Black man. He was a Black military genius, a strategist, and he conquered major portions of Spain, France, Italy, and some parts of Rome. And let's go in and talk about him a little bit, because these stories don't make it to the high schools. They don't make it to some colleges and university. But many of the strategies that Hannibal used during that time, United States military, Air Force, Army, Air Force, Marine, they're using some of those same strategies now. The Haitians used some of his strategies when they began to become the first Black republic in the world, and they still are. They used some of Hannibal's and Shaka Zulu's strategy. Let's go in. You see, it was in late spring 218 BC, Hannibal marched through the peninsula towards France, southern France, with more than 100,000 troops and nearly 40 war elephants. Many said he had more than 40 war elephants, who met little resistance from the local forces, allies in Rome. In essence, Rome was not really trying to deal with him. Okay, Rome General Publius and Cornelius Scipio attempted to control him at the river, but found out that Hannibal had already crossed the river. He had already made his strategy to move faster than they were. Now, this is a black man. This is a black king, a black general, a black man that was coming up against Rome, which is supposed to be the greatest power in the world at that time. Hannibal not only did that, but Hannibal Alps crossing was remarkable for a military achievement. Now, just imagine this. He going up into the mountain, and while going up into the mountain, he got 40 war elephants or more. He got 80,000 cavalry, infantry, and he got 12,000 cavalry. And he's taking these elephants and soldiers all up into the mountain because he wanted to get to Rome to destroy Rome. And while going up into the Alps, it's going uphill where snow is at and tight spaces. And Hannibal already had crossed and went up into the Alps, and it was a great military achievement. They talk about that even to this day. Fact about it, when you see the movie called Hannibal, you normally see a white general. They never show you a black man as general with 40 war elephants and all of those soldiers, 100,000 soldiers. All they show you is a white man going to fight other white men. But King Hannibal was a black general, a black military genius. Hannibal, after crossing over, went up to the Alps and got up there. It was a great achievement. In addition to the inclement weather, it was cold, ice on those rocks. Hannibal army faced guerrilla attack, an indigenous tribe who rolled heavy stones across the path. In other words, while they was going up the Alps, you had those indigenous tribes, the people that live in those areas, was rolling big stones on them, but they couldn't stop them. You're talking about the resiliency of us as black people. That's some resiliency. So to the mothers and to the grandmothers and to the children, know that as black people, we're wired to continue. We're wired to succeed. We don't quit. We never quit. We keep moving until we get to the victory that we're going for. So Hannibal going up into the Alps, and they're throwing stones on him in snow. You know how it is. You walk outside when it's snowing, you could slip down, but they had strategic strategies where they could brace themselves without slipping or falling while the indigenous people are rolling stones down on them in their path. On the 15th day of the crossing, and more than 5 months away from Carthage, Hannibal finally exit the Alps with just 20,000 infantry and 6,000 cavalry, and all 37 elephants. He ended up doing what he wanted to do. He exited. Okay. Now, as they went up the other times, and over the second Punic War, over the next 3 years, Hannibal armies battled Scipio forces for control of the Italian territory. For most of that time, Hannibal fought with little aid from Carthage. He was able to inflict heavy casualties on the Roman army in the Battle of Trebia. And he continued, but at the heavy cost of men and many of his elephants, he was able to get within 3 miles of the capital. Now, we're talking about Rome that's supposed to be a world power. Couldn't stop these Africans from coming over to Rome, going up the mountain because they was shocked that they came that way. And he almost took over Rome. He was 3 miles from the capital, and a statesman ensured Hannibal did not have the number to successfully push into Rome, and Scipio did have the superior force to defeat him. Now, this is a black general, This is a black man that white people do not like to talk about. They don't put him in their history books because to put him in their history books, again, diminished him. Remember I told you in the last segment is that whenever Europeans talk about world history, their history get diminished because African history is all over the world. When I say all over the world, that's what I mean, all over the world. Everywhere the Europeans went, African was already present. When they went to Asia, Africans was present. They saw black Asians. They saw black Chinese, Japanese. When they went to the Antarctica, even at that time where it was cold, they saw black folks. When they went to Russia, they saw black folks. Even in Europe, black folks. We've been all over the world 3 or 4 or 5, some say 10 times before the Europeans came out of caves. Now, why is that important to say? It's important to say because whenever they talk about our history, they try to demean us like we came from monkeys and apes and gorillas and we built no civilization. We harnessed no oxen. We done nothing. And this is why I have to say it in the way that I say it, because we don't have time to be polite with people that have tried to demean us. I mean, even in the 705 clause where it talks about blacks were to be looked upon as animals, 3/5 clause. I mean, that was a part of the Constitution. So for me to come in and sweetwater it right now like somehow white people are superior, I would be doing our ancestors a disservice. That's why I have to come straight with it, is that they are the ones that had no history and still been copying history from everybody else. So I want young black boys, young black girls, young black men, teenagers and up, I want you to understand how valuable you are. You are valuable to world history, and the world do not want you to know your value. So meanwhile, while Hannibal was going through all of that, meanwhile, Rome dispatched a force to Libya, North Africa, and basically it was coming to rail against him and cause him a whole lot of problems. But as a result of that, they was trying to put a bounty out on him because he was defending his homeland as well as trying to take over Rome. Remember, Rome was hit by Cleopatra, a 17-year-old, and now Rome was being hit by King Hannibal, a master warman that came in to destroy Rome. And he destroyed many of the areas around Rome, and he wanted to do more, but as time went on, he could not get that done. So he conquered major portions of Spain. I said conquered. He conquered major portion of Spain. He conquered major portion of France. He conquered major portions of Italy and some parts of Rome. And in order for him not to be taken captive, what he did, he surrendered to no one, but he took his own life rather than to surrender to Rome. Now, why is that important? It's important for you to know because when they show the story of King Hannibal, they show it from a white man perspective. And when the white man perspective, they always show the white man getting all the credit. It's kind of like they want the white man to be the victor and the victim at the same time. But King Hannibal, a black man, went to destroy Rome and basically destroyed, as I said earlier, he took control of a major portion of Spain, France, Italy, and major parts of Rome. That's your African glory story. A black man, a military genius that's done those great things. And they're still using a lot of his tactics today in today's military. I trust you can believe it and receive it. And I trust you can enjoy these stories as we continue in this African Glory Story series. God bless. Until next time.